So your thoughts? Your thought a lot. We're not going to talk England.
That
We are
jersey looks better. It looks
provoking
better on
the.
you than me. That's what I'm saying. That's my thought. That jersey looks better on you than me. So we're good.
Yeah, we're trying to provoke the spirit of '94. Your thoughts on the last two games and the last two games before a squad is announced, and kind of the consensus is this is a side that has gone backwards over the last few months.
Richard, I've been reading a lot on Twitter, and it's amazing the people that were praising the U.S. 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, because the U.S. had a bad run, didn't play great against Japan. They lost. Little bit of disinterest, it looked like at times. I think Saudi Arabia was a little better, but overall wasn't what we're expecting. Now, all of a sudden, there's turmoil in the locker room, there's turmoil with the coaches and the players. Everybody has a bad run. If you want to go from Argentina to Brazil to England right now, there are teams. Italy didn't make it for the second World Cup. So, listen, they didn't play great. Let's just be honest. They didn't play great. They lacked a lot of energy, passion in those two games, but it's not the World Cup. There are still players out there fighting and scratching on the players. The coaches trying to have to mix in players that have to prove a point, be it Scully, be it Tillman, be it Sammy Vines. Those guys are all fighting. So do you expect this group to come out and fire on all cylinders when you're missing Musa, you're missing Tim Weah, Reyna gets hurt 30 minutes in, feels a little tightness in his leg. So I think all this was an opportunity for some players to be looked at by Greg Berhalter. And I think that some of them made the decision very easy for Greg Berhalter.
Take us back to prior to 90, 94, 98, the World Cups that you were a part of. What was the run going into? Because again, it's akin to pre-season, isn't it? It's like you have a great pre-season and then you falter in the league, or you have a poor pre-season and you come out all guns blazing. There doesn't seem to be an exact science in terms of the lead into a major tournament. It's about finding those critical pieces so that you're ready for game one. It's no point being red hot now. What was it like ahead of the World Cups you were involved in?
You can't compare to what we did in '94. We lived together for almost a year. We played so many games. These players don't get that. We beat Mexico. I believe it was the last game before the World Cup. We beat Mexico going into that. So it's just different times. It's not the same thing. Every one of these kids is playing in Europe somewhere. They're playing in MLS. So how do you get 26 players together to believe in the same system, to believe they had it 4 or 5 months ago, right? We talked about it in Nations League, Gold Cup, through qualifying, they were able to pull it off. So at times, this is a group that it's going to, the most important part for this group is when they get together as a group leading into the World Cup. That'll be the most important time now. Can Greg Berhalter put them cohesively together and to believe in the same system? Can they believe in themselves? Can they fight their nerves? Because besides Yedlin, if Yedlin does not start in the very first game, there will be 11 young men who are living their dream, playing their first World Cup. Nerves will get you. I don't care what you say, nerves will get you. So there's still a lot of work, but to judge everything of what's going on, to say that we're not going to get out of the group now because we didn't beat Japan or Saudi Arabia, it's like, come on. You know what I mean? Let's be realistic. Let's put the body of work together, what they've done over the last year. We know what they can do 2 years. So it's just a matter of, will it click at the right time? It clicked in Nations League. It clicked for them at Gold Cup. Now we got to hope that it clicks now during the World Cup.
Concern that seemingly, and again, something that was mentioned, the struggle to score away from the United States.
Oh, that's always been our problem. That's always been our fault because we're used to playing. Where do we play Gold Cup? In the United States. Almost every game we played over the last 2-3 years has been in the United States. Every once in a while they'll play in Europe. So that's always a concern. But they didn't give up a goal against Saudi Arabia. So I think that was a better indication. They got a little better. It was a World Cup opponent. So they just got to build into it. It's got to build into it. And when you get to a World Cup, it's the mentality is much different than a friendly game in Germany or in Spain. So listen, I was going into this World Cup thinking we're getting out of the group. I still feel that, but I think now looking at what's going on, it's going to be a little harder than I thought. So, but that's okay. That's the World Cup. That's what everybody's playing for, the best and the biggest tournament in the world.
Do you buy into the criticism of Berhalter? The fact that he was talking about a system that maybe the players weren't fully understanding? The argument is, well, you should be conveying that to the players for them to understand.
They understood it during Nations League, did they not? They understood it during Gold Cup. They understood it during World Cup qualifiers. They qualified for the World Cup. So why now are we questioning the players don't know the formation? They don't know this. Listen, I think a few things. One, you got to find the other center back, because if Robinson wouldn't, it's going to be Robinson, could be Long or somebody else. We know it's going to be Zimmerman, and it's going to be Serginho Dest, right? You're missing Musa in the midfield with Weston McKennie. Weston McKennie's not the same right now that he was before he broke his leg. Tyler Adams looked a little tired. Let's be honest. He looked a little tired. From there, Pulisic didn't play the first game. Tim Weah's not here. Reyna's coming off almost a year of not being with the national team and injuries. So, Pepe's fighting the nerves and the pressure of having to score goals. So do we see this team at its best? No, not at all. I would expect that this team hopefully is healthy enough, and we'll see a full squad like we saw in Nations League, like we saw in World Cup qualifiers. And I think that's the kind of team we'll see in Qatar.
So it's taken a little bit of an edge off of your confidence, but it's not derailed completely. You still feel that this, with players coming back, this is a side that has the quality to get out of the group?
Well, listen, I think when this team is 100% healthy, they miss Musa in the midfield this week. They miss that guy that can get a ball, that can drive through a midfield, that can penetrate and break lines with a pass or with a run. So I think when he's in there, he frees up Weston McKennie a little bit more. This week, De La Torre struggled a little bit against Japan. I thought Acosta was okay against Saudi Arabia. So, the better performances we've seen. So, yeah, I think that when you're missing a few key players, it does make a difference. And you're still, listen, everybody on that field is still trying out. Let's be honest. Matt Turner's fighting to be number one over Stefan. It wasn't there. Sammy Vines is trying to do everything he can to make that team because they're so close. You got to give everything. Scully was the same way. Tillman was the same way. I mean, when you look at his Areola guaranteed, he's fighting to do so. Everybody's fighting still. You know what I mean? Not everybody. Some people know, I think, that they're a lock, as you would say. But these games are not easy because you're so close to a dream. You don't want to get hurt. You're doing everything you can if you're a new guy trying to make a team. So Pepe's doing everything he can to try to make that team. So no excuses. They didn't play well, and we'll leave it at that. But we hope that the closed door games that they'll have in Qatar, they will turn things around.
The first game, Wales?
Yep.
Was the first game?
Yep.
So yeah, it's a winnable game, but it's going to be tough. And I think also there is that realization that it's the World Cup, and also the added pressure having not made it in 2018 is like, we're back and kind of we're back in the spotlight. This is maybe, as you said, a pressure that the majority of that squad will not have felt, irrespective of whether they played at the highest level, at club level. This is playing for your national team on the highest stage.
Yep. So when you look at this group and you hear them say, we're not just going there to just play in a tournament, we're going there to try to win it. I love the mentality. I do. I really do. But again, this is the World Cup. This is the biggest tournament in the world. So this is the one trophy that comes every 4 years that not a lot of teams have been able to hold and put in their hands. So as long as they stay healthy, I think they'll be very competitive. I do think this team has a lot more pressure than other teams because everybody knows every single player on our team. You know where Pulisic is playing. You know Tyler Adams. You know Aronson. You know Weston McKennie. You know Reyna. You know the players on this field, and you know where they're playing. So there's no surprise to anybody else. No one will be surprised at the U.S. Oh yeah, we're not taking them. No, everybody knows what the U.S. has. England knows what they have because they know the players. Iran knows, Wales knows. So they're going to have to show up. They're going to have to show up, strap on and strap the boots on, and let's go. They're going to have to grind it. They're going to have to fight it, and they're going to have to maybe take it to the 94th minute and see what happens.
So what happens now over the next 40 plus days before Berhalter makes that squad announcement? Because you're going to have some players, and we saw with Kay, and obviously not wanting to get injured with Canada, you know, some players that may feel that they're in may drop a little bit, and some of those players that are on the edge are going to have to go full tilt. Or would you argue that take the approach of nobody's guaranteed and you're going to have to go full tilt over the next month or so?
If I said there was no one guaranteed, I'd be lying. There's players that are going to the World Cup. There are players that we all know as fans, as ex-players, as broadcasters. We know who's going to the World. We know. I would say if you put a poll out there, I bet you 90% of the fans could guess the top 20.
Yeah.
Right. So the problem is you back off the pedal now, and you're playing in England, you're playing in Italy, you're playing in Spain, you'll be on the bench. That's just reality. You'll be on the bench. So there's no backing off the pedal. So I again, let's just hope that this team can get healthy, because Anthony Robinson is another one they missed this week. They missed Anthony Robinson, the way he attacks, the way he pushes into the midfield. He pins teams back. And Sammy didn't get that part in the first 45 minutes, because let's be honest, he's fighting for a spot in nerves a little bit. The second half, much better. He got into the attack. He made some dangerous crosses. So, but that's when the U.S. is at its best. So I would think there's no backing off the pedal right now. Not for a lot of guys, because eyes will be on everybody from Peikoff to Sammy Vines to everybody. The coaches will be watching to see what form they're in before they announce the 26th.